Chapter 34: The connection between the Pelecoin Code, altered secondary dominance in late Romantic music, and a Gnostic religious movement. A first disclaimer. All persons in this book are fictional. All statements, regardless of subject, are precisely that, statements. Some are rooted in empirical facts, while others are pure fantasy. My goal is to balance vision and reality, fiction and fact, in such a way that the audience can recognize themselves in it and continue to play with the swarm of ideas and notions. The book has no ambition to proclaim an overarching purpose, but rather questions accepted truths. In this way, Socratically, it leaves the rest to the audience. Professor Peli Kaka at the University of Central Norway was working as never before on the development of the code for a fully functional Pelecoin, the new cryptocurrency that represented far more than an ordinary cryptocurrency. He had been profoundly inspired by Walter's magnificent, powerful organ works during the concert at Nidaros Cathedral in Trondheim. The code could not be revealed unless music and poetry, philosophy were implemented as core ingredients. The music had to originate in European classicism but then be followed through music's development into the late 19th century, in the transitional period between the tonal and the atonal. Precisely where tonality was challenged and atonality's liberating striving pulled the entire functional tonal system out of its comfort zone, precisely in this detachment. A wedge opened into deeper insight into the meta-world of the art of tones. Walter, for his part, ever since he had been drawn into Lady Musica's world, had been preoccupied with mathematics. He had in fact applied certain mathematical constants in his compositions, among them the Fibonacci sequence, which is derived directly from nature. It is found in the formation of galaxies and hurricanes, all the way down to the smallest flower, a way in which nature is organized that creates the beautiful patterns we see everywhere in the natural world. Walter had also experimented with fractals. Not always easy to detect through the language of music, but characterized by macro and micro repetitions and augmentations. The fascination with how music and mathematics seem to correlate and coincide so astonishingly well had occupied Walter ever since his school days. He was not alone in this observation. But he had never met a living composer who spoke openly about this striking coincidence. Musicologists, on the other hand, spoke of J.S. Bach's ingenious compositions, where it appeared that mathematics was one of the foundational pillars. The inventor, Professor Peli Kaka, had Walter's music in his earbuds when the phone rang. It was, in fact, Walter calling. This must surely have been telepathy. They had both been thinking about the development of the code foundation for Pelecoin. But how the ingredients of the code were to be assembled was the great question. Peli Kaka had an idea, a proposal. Walter listened intently and quickly realized that he would have to locate the score of Organ Symphony No. 183, recorded 30 years earlier. To his horror, he discovered that no score existed. He had made the recording directly from memory, and no written score had ever existed. But Peli Kaka needed a score to move forward. Walter understood that this would be a formidable task. He could, of course, sit down and transcribe the entire work, but that would take months. He asked Peli Kaka whether there was a specific section of the Organ Symphony he wished to examine more closely. And Peli Kaka replied, the entire fourth movement. The fourth movement was over 20 minutes long. It would still take a very long time to transcribe. Walter was at a loss. He inquired at the Faculty of Contemporary Music and received a good tip about a well-known and reliable transcriber used by the faculty. He was expensive, but Walter had enough money. It would be fine. He sent the transcriber an audio file via email and received the fully notated score back within 7 days. Good heavens! That was fast. He forwarded the material to the professor as PDF files and immediately received a response from Peli Kaka. Magnificent. He had already zeroed in on the decisive passages at the end of the fourth movement, where Walter breaks with the entire tonal system and moves straight into the atonal universe with proud dignity, much like a mighty king who subjugates the entire fourth realm. Where is the fourth realm? Now things began to heat up. Professor Kaka and composer Walter needed a metaphysician for the further work. Where was he, or she, to be found?